Hi, my name is Ryan Luther, and I'm actually heading up our commercial P&R intelligence research team here at Enverus. We recently initiated coverage on the EV charging sector, and we're doing this video series just to highlight how we can help investors understand, the key players in the space, the differentiators, and some of the key catalysts for investments in these firms. To dig into kind of some of the key takeaways from our first report, or give you a bit of an overview. We first started by dissecting the business models being deployed by public firms in the space, because there are quite a few. And I think that really separates the firms into two kind of key groups. The first group is the type of business that people often associate with EV charging, and that includes firms that own and operate a network of EV charging infrastructure. This is a really capital-intensive business, and their profitability is heavily dependent on the utilization of these networks years into the future. The second group includes hardware manufacturers that actually produce residential and commercial charging hardware. And many of these firms also offer subscription service for maintenance and for connecting that hardware onto a network system, which helps drivers find that hardware. As well, it also helps it actually maintains and does all of the transactions on the network for the infrastructure owner. And this is a pretty key differentiator, because firms like ChargePoint, they don't actually own any of the chargers on their network. They get paid for selling the hardware, and they get paid for managing all the payments and kind of doing some management on the equipment. And so it actually makes their business model very capital light and gives it a very attractive recurring revenue overlay, which is much simpler to model for analysts. Some of the details, like I said, we learned in while doing this study was that there's an expectation that firms that own and operate public charging infrastructure, like EVgo, Volta, or Blink, they're really only going to be exposed to about 17% of future charging demand, and that's because most charging demand is expected to be done at home with home chargers. And that's where the hardware producers really have an advantage over them, is that hardware sells residential and commercial products, allowing them to gain exposure to 100% of that charging demand. That's a very quick and brief overview of the business models that we found in the public EV charging space. But please feel free to reach out if you're interested in seeing more on this topic, and keep an eye out for our next video, which is going to dig into some of the catalysts for investments into these firms.